Hello, how is everyone? How you all doing? Like I'm from the South? No, I guess. This is Betty. I'm going to bring to you today the case of missing person Donna Gail Hatfield. Sometimes you'll also see her referred to as Donna Rainey Hatfield. She went missing on May 25th, 2019 at the age of 72 from Boonville, Indiana. She's considered an endangered missing person. She's female, white. She was born on April 18th, 1947, which would make her 78 today. She's 5'4" tall and weighed 125 pounds at the time of her disappearance. It's unknown what clothing she had on, but she likes to wear the colors red and white. She suffers from Alzheimer's disease, and she has graying-brown hair, hazel eyes, and wears glasses. At the time that she disappeared, she was living with her adult son, Thomas Rainey Jr., and a friend saw her on the last time on 5/25/19, and her ex-husband thinks he may have seen her on June 3rd, 2019, which would have been a few days later, but that's not been confirmed because he suffers from memory loss. So, and they were not living together at the time of her disappearance. So I'm just gonna, this is kind of an interesting case, and I'm just gonna go over a couple of things here. According to, let me see here, the Charlie Project, in August of 2019, now remember she was reported missing on May 25th, so in August of 2019, Thomas Jr. told his father, Hatfield's ex-husband, Thomas Sr., that she had had an aneurysm and died in the hospital. When Hatfield's daughters called the hospital, though, they learned there was no one in the morgue under that name. Then they checked with all the other hospitals in the area, and Hatfield wasn't there either. Then they subsequently discovered Rainey had not taken her to the hospital, and he told several different stories about what happened to her. He told neighbors he had placed Hatfield in a nursing home, and he told other people that she had died in June. Hatfield's daughter, this is one of her daughters, Rachel Arnold, said that she spoke to her brother, Thomas Jr., and became emotional about her mother's reported death, at which point Rainey said that Hatfield was alive. He said an old friend had picked her up and she left with him, taking a suitcase and a large amount of money, and she was happy and wanted to be left alone. Then later, he said he didn't know where she was. Arnold stated her mother had given her house to Rainey in exchange for him taking care of her, and that he loved her, but her Alzheimer's was getting worse and she was refusing to eat. Now, I wondered about that. I initially wondered if maybe Thomas had done something to her or with her in order to get the house, but apparently that must not have been the case, or at least not the motive, according to Donna's daughter Rachel. Arnold had offered to place her in a nursing home, but Rainey had refused. So Rachel offered to help him put their mom in a nursing home to ease his burden of care since she was getting worse. And I totally understand that. My mother had Alzheimer's before she passed away in 2009. And my dad kept her at home for like 8 years while she kept getting progressively worse and worse and worse. And she also suffered from really bad osteoporosis. And one day she went to sit down in a chair and missed and wound up on the floor, and she had broken her hip. So my dad took her to the emergency room. She had hip replacement surgery, but she couldn't understand the need to get up and walk again. And all she would say from her confused state was, it's painful. She didn't want to walk. So she wound up not being able to walk again and being confined to a wheelchair. So at that point, my dad did put her in a very nice nursing care facility in their Alzheimer's wing, and she passed away, maybe like 2 or 3 months later, after she was housed in that unit of heart failure. She laid down to take a nap in the afternoon and never woke up, so she passed in her sleep. So I can understand how difficult it probably was for Thomas and the rest of the family to have to watch their mother get progressively worse. And my mother was angry for part of the time at my dad, and so probably Donna had or would be going through that as well. And that's difficult to deal with too, since my dad was nothing but wonderful to her. He was an amazing man, but she was confused and thought he was holding her prisoner in their house. So I totally understand his viewpoint about how difficult it is to care for an Alzheimer's patient. So when Rachel Arnold, his sister, Donna's daughter again, offered to put Donna in a nursing home, Rainey refused. Thomas Rainey Jr. refused to let his mom go into a nursing home. So she was still at their home with Thomas Jr. And this was a home that she had originally shared with Thomas Sr. before their divorce, and she still lived there. Hatfield enjoys going for walks. She's wandered away from home in the past, but would always be found safe in the immediate area. And again, I totally get that. My mother, relatively early on in her Alzheimer's journey, came with my dad to one of my daughter's confirmation services in our church, and we got ready to go. We were one of the last families to leave after the service and the reception, and my husband and I and our 2 daughters got in our car, and my mom and dad got in theirs, we thought, but just as we were about to pull away, my dad came up to our car and said, "Do you know where your mom is?" So we said no. We had to go back into the church and look for her, and we finally found her in one of the bathrooms. But so a person with Alzheimer's can wander away anywhere at any time. They just get confused and forget where they are and just wander off looking for something familiar. So I totally get it. I truly do. At the time, police said Rainey had not been very cooperative in his mother's case and didn't provide them much information. There's been no activity on her bank records or other records since her disappearance. Rachel Arnold believes her mother has passed away and her brother knows what happened to her. The case remains unsolved. I went to a Facebook page, and a missing persons Facebook page, and she was featured on that page, her case. And not only does her daughter Rachel think that Thomas Jr. has something to do with her mother's disappearance, but also a friend commented the same thing on the Facebook page, that she thinks that Thomas Jr. has something to do with his mother's disappearance. Now, this article is from a publication called Courier and Press. The Evansville, Indiana Courier and Press. This article is the most recent update I can find on the case. It's from May 9th of this year, 2025, and then was updated on May 12th, 2025. It's an article written by a gentleman called Houston Harwood, and its dateline is Boonville, Indiana, and it reads, more than 5 years after Donna Hatfield's disappearance from Boonville, Hatfield's family and law enforcement officials gathered Friday to issue a renewed call for information that could help crack the unsolved case. Hatfield, 72, was last seen at her Boonville home sometime between May or early June of 2019. The city's police chief, Brandon Wells, told reporters during a news conference at the police department's headquarters. With Mother's Day approaching, Wells and Hatfield's family said they hoped the news conference would spark fresh interest in Hatfield's disappearance, which of course is what I'm trying to do here on this channel. In the 6 years since Hatfield's family reported her missing on August 26, 2019, which would have been, of course, the day after her disappearance, or the day after her last known and confirmed sighting, let's say. Investigators have chased down tips, had dive teams score lake beds, and analyzed electronic devices in hopes of ascertaining Hatfield's whereabouts. But to date, those efforts haven't led to Hatfield's location or much-needed closure for her family. According to Boonville Police Detective Adam Wilms, there's no evidence that Hatfield is still alive, but exactly what happened to her remains a mystery. Now, Hatfield's daughter, Shannon Martin, so this would be her other daughter, held back tears as she pleaded with the public to come forward with tips, even if a potential lead seems insignificant. And I say that all the time. If you know something, say something. You may think what you know doesn't matter or is too small to report. It could still be the tip that breaks the case wide open. She was patient, strong, kind, creative, Martin said of her mother. She deserves to be found. As part of the effort to rekindle interest in Hatfield's case, FBI Indianapolis acting special agent in charge, Dominique Evans, said new billboards would go up around Boonville to help solicit tips and information. That's really a great thing, that they're going to do that to help, again, rekindle interest in the case and help keep her name in the forefront. Even the smallest detail can be crucial, Evans said. Again, what I was just saying. If you know something, say something. According to the FBI, Hatfield was 5 foot 4 inches tall and weighed approximately 125 pounds at the time of her disappearance. She has gray hair and hazel eyes. Hatfield's missing person report on the FBI's website lists her quote-unquote approximate date of disappearance as May 25th, 2019. There's one notable absent at Friday's news conference, Hatfield's son, Thomas Rainey Jr., who lived with his mother and served as her caretaker at the time of her disappearance in 2019, by which point Hatfield was battling Alzheimer's disease. Rainey Jr. still lives in Hatfield's picturesque white picket fence home at 613 North 1st Street, according to his family and public records. Thomas Rainey was invited to come today, Hatfield's son-in-law Paul Martin said, but he declined. Warrick County Prosecutor Michael Perry, speaking to reporters after the news conference, said Rainey Jr. was, quote, definitely one of the people of interest. In part, that's because Rainey Jr. has given wildly different accounts of what happened to his mother since she was last seen, according to family members, law enforcement, and witnesses. Martin said Rainey Jr. called her around 1 a.m. on August 26, 2019, to report that he had taken his mother to a local hospital where she had died. But no area hospital could produce records showing Hatfield had been admitted, according to Martin. Other members of Hatfield's family have said Rainey Jr. told them his mother disappeared with a suitcase full of cash, never to be seen again. In September 2019, which would have been about 4 months, I guess, after her disappearance, or 3, depending on when you think she was last seen, Rainey Jr. told WFIE NBC 14 reporter that Hatfield was not a missing person and that she was being cared for. A sign reading "Keep Out" warns potential visitors to 613 North 1st Street to stay away. A Courier and Press reporter called and texted a phone number listed for Rainey Jr. Friday, seeking comment. The text message was marked delivered, but elicited no response. Years after Hatfield was last seen in Boonville, city police accused Rainey Jr. of forging his missing mother's signature during a successful bid to sell her Ford Fusion sedan for $5,000, according to an affidavit of probable cause filed in Warrick County Superior Court. Indiana Bureau of Motor Vehicle Records showed Hatfield was the vehicle's sole owner, and because she's not been declared deceased, only she or her legal representative could sell the vehicle. Vehicle, the affidavit states. When investigators contacted the St. Meinrad, Indiana man who purchased Hatfield's car, he reportedly told them he procured it on behalf of his teenage daughter from a man who matched Rainey Jr.'s description. He said the male told him he had not driven the vehicle for several months and that he was wanting to get a Corvette, the affidavit states. When a detective drove by Hatfield's home in August 2023, they reported observing a white Corvette parked in the garage. BMV records would show that Rainey Jr. purchased a 1991 Corvette on June 29, 2023 for $2,000, according to the affidavit. When I parked across the street, Rainey Jr. seemed to notice me and shut the garage door immediately, the detective wrote. He then walked to his front porch and continued to stare in my direction for a few minutes before disappearing from view. As of Friday afternoon, again, this is in May of 2025, Rainey Jr.'s public Facebook account featured a photograph of a white 1990s body-style Corvette. The Warrick County Prosecutor's Office charged Rainey Jr. with counterfeiting and forgery, both level 6 felonies, on August 23, 2023, for the sale of Hatfield's car. But in a motion dated April 9, 2024, prosecutors wrote that the case should be dismissed, quote, in the interest of justice. In 2016, a woman came forward and accused Rainey Jr. of choking her to the point that, quote, her eyes began to fade and she, quote, became unconscious, court records state. The incident prompted Warrick County prosecutors to charge Rainey Jr. with battery resulting in serious bodily injury and strangulation. The woman said Rainey Jr. threatened her family after the alleged assault and made statements, quote, about being in a group, possibly in the Aryan Brotherhood, and being a white supremacist, a sworn affidavit states. According to court records, prosecutors dismissed the charges stemming from the alleged assault without prejudice in 2017. For Martin, the years since Hatfield disappeared have proven immensely stressful. Not knowing where her mother is or what could have happened to her is the worst part, she said. I do believe somebody knows something, Martin said. Somebody knows what happened to my mom. Anyone with information concerning Hatfield's whereabouts is urged to contact one of the following agencies: the Boonville Police Department, the Warrick County Dispatch, the Warrick County Prosecutor's Office, the Indiana State Police, or the FBI. I will list those numbers below in the information box for you, and I encourage you to reach out if you know anything about the disappearance of Donna Gail Hatfield, also known as Donna Rainey Hatfield. Any tips you can provide to law enforcement, I'm sure, will be more than appreciated by her family and friends and those who are still out there looking for her, including now us. So thanks very much for your time. Thanks for listening to this video. Again, if you know something, say something. If you like this video, please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and or leave a respectful comment below. And I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Take care. Bye.